AI is very nebulous. Nobody has any idea where it's going to go next, what it's going to teach itself. And it's learning everything it can. There's a lot of fear in terms of what AI is actually going to do to people. It is not being helped by leaders of industry saying things like percent of you all are going to be redundant by end of the year. The previous technologies like computerization or age of internet, the adoption was very slow, and we had time to sit back, think about how we can use it intelligently. AI is not giving us the time. Truly the double-edged sword. It is your friend, it is your companion, it is also your competitor.
This is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast, where we are here to educate, equip, and inspire people to build extraordinary companies. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. Now, let's get it started. Welcome to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins. I am your host today, and in our studio, we have Dilip Chetan. How are you today, sir?
I am doing very well. Thank you, my friend. Wonderful day, and really looking forward to this conversation.
Likewise. Fabulous. So fabulous to have you here in the studio. And folks, if you're watching or listening for the first time, I would love it. I would appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, hit the bell so that you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. And without further ado, let's get into it. So Dilip, we're going to talk today about, I use the term the New World Order. But in reality, we're going to talk about work today. And what I'd love to do is give our audience a little bit of a background, who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do before we get into it.
Sure. So, Dilip Chetan, I have been living in the Bay Area since 2005. I was in the great state of South Dakota, and before that, I was in Texas. I have been working for companies like Oracle, Salesforce, Intuit, more recently Meta and Google. I have been working in the forefront of AI, and I've worked as a product strategist as well as an insights person, led teams, built teams at different levels. What am I doing here now? Because I provide rigorous research-backed assessments and programs to show people and businesses how to position themselves and what parts AI can't replace yet, and to make sure that they're successful and they thrive in the new world order, like you said, with AI leading chart.
Yeah, this is so interesting. I mean, this time, it's different than going from CDs to Blu-ray and from tapes to CD. This is incredible. This is disruptive. Quick question for you. I mean, what do you see as people's greatest fear, or perhaps even misconception about? And I'm going to say in general about the way things are now, and perhaps the way the outlook for the next perhaps couple of years.
Rick, I think that's a very, very critical question, because there's a lot of fear of the unknown in terms of what AI is actually going to do to people. It is not being helped by leaders of industry saying things like percent of all of you all are going to be redundant by end of the year, or fearful narrative that you hear on the media every day.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of like, what is this thing even? Like, what is AI even? What is it going to do to me? What is it going to do to my business? It's on everybody's mind, Rick. Everybody is kind of worried about where they stand, what's going to become of them. And today I want to help people unpack some of that stuff, get into some of those questions, and also tell them that no, everything is not lost. Like some people would have you believe. There's quite a bit of hope. In fact, I'm cautiously optimistic that we will not only learn to wrangle this beast, we will actually be in control as human beings.
Well, so you've got to tell us a little bit more about that, because I mean that's the thing. A lot of jobs are, as you alluded to, there's a lot of jobs that are being replaced. With the thinking that AI can take over these jobs that humans were doing. So give us a little bit more to work with on that.
Yeah, so it starts with this is a different kind of technology. I just want to start by saying that it is unlike anything we have ever seen before in our history. Not like the Industrial Revolution, not like anything that we've seen. And what makes it different is let's take a loom, for example, right? If you electrify a loom, it produces clothes, textiles faster. It is not going to do your marketing for you. It is not going to take over your customer relationship function.
Yeah.
AI is learning, and it does everything. And with the other technology that you were mentioning, right, the advent of computers, or even a calculator, for instance, calculators do one thing: they do math. So anytime you want to do math, you lean on a calculator.
Right.
It is not going to do your taxes. It is not going to suggest a recipe for you to cook. It is not going to take over your business relationships. And it was easy to manage that because with those technologies, we learned the specificity where the technology sits and operates. AI does not have that specificity. AI is very nebulous. You have no idea. Nobody has any idea where it's going to go next, what it's going to teach itself. And that is the second operative word is it teaches itself without human input. It's learning things on its own with nobody directing it. And it's learning everything it can. And the third thing that's really different is the pace of adoption. The previous technologies like computerization or age of the internet, the adoption was very slow. We could see exactly where these technologies are going, what it's doing, and we had time to sit back, think about how we can use it intelligently. AI is not giving us that time. Like AI of last month is way different from AI of today, and AI of today is going to be nothing compared to AI of tomorrow, right? And that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind with this particular thing. Well, the last point I want to make in this, in answer to your question, is in the previous technologies, once we mastered the use of the technology, we were set, and it forced us to move up in our cognition, in our judgment. AI is coming from the opposite end. It's taking over the cognition judgment part, and that is something we have never seen before. We're like, well, it can think better than me now. What am I going to do next? And that's where a lot of that fear and uncertainty is coming from. Is when people are it's truly, truly the double edged sword. It is your friend, it is your companion, it is also your competitor. So while it can streamline your business process and operations, it can also do the work that you're doing right now. And what does it mean? Like, for example, think of an accounting firm. Now, a solopreneur can actually start an accounting firm supported only by AI. They can produce 3 times the output of a regular accounting firm. And that's where you're like, oh, wow, there's like one person sitting out there somewhere in the boondocks is doing 3 times the work and doing it for cheaper and faster, right? And that's where you start to go, where is my moat? Do I even have?
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. My mind is going two different directions. Let's start with the idea that we have always had, an idea of control. The weatherman says, "Hey," the weather person says, "Hey, it's going to rain." We grab an umbrella. We might leave earlier if we have to drive to work. It's getting dark outside. We're going to put the lights on. The challenge that we face with AI is, as you said, it's changing so quickly. That modicum of control that we almost took for granted is now almost gone. And so there's a paradigm shift that has to happen, with us as humans in relation to AI. I mean, what is that? Do you have an idea of what that looks like?
That is a very, very key operative word that you used is that sense of control. And then I will also lean on the paradigm shift, but let's address that. The sense of control comes when you know who you're dealing with, what the boundaries of whatever it is that you're dealing with. Those boundaries are gone. And that's where that uncertainty comes from. Is it's not just going to rain. This thing also knows my car is going to malfunction. Like I don't even know that, but it knows. Right. And that's true actually, because AI in cars can tell you the status of the car way faster than you will ever know. And that's the other thing that it's going to change is we were on a conveyor belt. We were taught that you have this education, you set your business up this way, and you do your marketing and sales right, and you build a product right, you're going to succeed. Just sit back. And of course, I'm not underplaying the difficulty in running a business, but we thought we had it mapped out. And now that map is gone. And that's why I'm doing this business is because that map is gone. And I'm like, I got to provide myself a map. And when I did that, I'm like, I got to give this map to other people. So that map is gone. And now you're looking at that when you talked about leaning into like, what is the paradigm shift? I would say the paradigm shift is introspection. Like AI is forcing us to really take a long, hard look at ourselves, what we bring to the table, and are we just average or are we better than average? Because AI is coming for the average first. So it is forcing us to become better versions of ourselves. That is the paradigm shift that we need to be doing is to first take stock of everything that's going on. And then after that, okay, what am I going to do next? How am I going to upgrade myself
Yeah.
to version 2?
Yeah, yeah. This is one of the challenges that we face. I mean, as you said, I mean, we're used to doing things, in a certain way, and we literally have to rewrite, what we know or what we think we knew. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was a consultant for, 20 odd years, and, yes, AI could help me, help folks, faster, better, but you can see the writing on the wall that the information is, as you said, I mean, there are certain things that you do in business every time to make sure that your business can be successful. That information is out there. Someone could, for all intents and purposes, they could, pop into their AI tool and build it. I mean, reality is, AI could build its own business. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it does. There are certain things that it just doesn't really need our input for, other than the information it's gathering and, et cetera, on the web. So what do we do? I mean, realistically, how do we re-engineer, ourselves, our thinking? Especially when we're looking from the perspective of fear, because we don't know what's going to happen, so we're afraid. We still have mortgages to pay and car notes to pay and kids to put through school and all that good stuff. What do we do? What's the solution?
Yeah, I'm one of them, Rick. I have bills to pay. I have, family to run, and I want to retire at some decent age so I can sit back and enjoy my life and watch my grandkids and stuff like that. So, to answer your question, I have 5 points. The first one I already talked about, which is introspection. Get an honest picture before you make a single move. This is about as much about knowledge as it is about execution. Understand AI. I see when I talk about understanding AI, people are like, I know AI. I use AI in my business. And I'm like, okay, I was talking to a business owner recently. What do you use AI for? Emails. I have AI generate my emails and my customer support stuff. But is that the core part of your business? No, no, no. Then you're not really adopting AI. You're just using AI, augmenting certain minor functions. So that is not really AI adoption. Only 8-ish% of businesses have really adopted AI as part of their core business operations. The rest of them are just using AI and think they know it. And the emphasis on think they know it is where I myself, even though I was working in AI infra, thought I understood what this was. It's only when I started my business and working relentlessly with AI, build my own agents to do my work for me, that I understood, okay, this is what it is capable of doing and this is where it's failing me.
Yeah.
So it's starting with that introspection and understanding who you are and what AI is and where it plays into your life. The second thing is stop defending the moats that are already gone. Like take stock of the moats that you may have already lost, but you still are clinging to them. Like, I can handle mass volume. Yeah, I can handle bigger volumes. I know more than my customers. No, you're pretty much on an even keel. AI has commoditized knowledge. Everybody knows what you know. So those things are no longer your moats, right? Now, rule number 3 is find 3 things in your business that AI can genuinely not touch. What are those 3 things? What's your value? What's the value defensibility? How clearly and uniquely valuable is your offering? Understand that.
Yeah.
Customer defensibility. How hard is it for your customers to leave you? If somebody offers something 20% cheaper, if they're all gone, then you don't have a defensible business. Price is not a defensible tool. The third one is operational defensibility, is how much of your value lives in documented system versus your hard drive versus up here in your head. What happens when you leave the business? And I'll come to this later because baby boomers are responsible for a lot of the small business backbone in America, and they're getting older. What happens to the knowledge transfer? Got to think about that. The next rule is adopt AI deliberately or it will adopt you passively. What do I mean by that? There are people that go, I don't need AI. And then I go, okay, what are the kind of tools are you using? Microsoft 365? What kind of tools are you using? Some sort of design software like Figma? And they go, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah, he's already in your business. You need to understand that it's already entered it. You use your cell phone, there's AI in your cell phone, right? So you need to understand how AI has entered everybody's domain and how it's entered your business. And finally, treat this as an orientation. It's not a plan, it's an orientation. You got to keep changing. Unfortunately, that thing that you talked about is we were taught a certain way, and we were taught that if you do this one thing, you can retire happily. No, that thing's changing now. Every month it's changing.
Yeah.
So keep asking yourself those questions. These 5 things, in my mind, I hope are what is going to help companies really position themselves.
And I'd like to dig into them, individually, on a I'd like to help our audience really understand, like really practically what these look like. So if you want to start with the first one, I'm a book publisher, for example. You know, let's dive into that.
You're a book publisher. Let's introspect. First, get an honest read of what has happened to the publishing world. Today, people can self publish. Ebooks are so commonplace now that you don't even need a paper. Like, I can sit here and write a book, write an ebook, publish it, put it on my website,
Yeah.
and advertise it in social media. I'm done. And so it's about the publishing business is now about how fast are you getting your idea across, because scale is no longer an issue as it used to be in the publishing business. I can get my word out. If I'm an influencer already, I have my audience sitting there waiting for me. They're just waiting for my next book to drop. Go into Substack and you see the influencers. They're like, I did this today. I ate eggs today, and they get like 20,000 likes, right? And it's like, well, you already have a platform waiting for you. It's so easy to launch something. So what is what is publishing? What is happening to the world of publishing? The second thing is, what is the moat you used to have in publishing? Because now everybody can seemingly write, like especially when it's a technical thing. People don't
Yeah.
care about your language. People don't care. You can translate it on the fly now. You don't have to work with translators. You can translate if you having any kind of an idea. There's technology to help you do it so quickly.
So in this case, I mean, are we talking about like writing as a whole because AI can, you know, come in and write your whole book? Or are we thinking about like the editors? So we would have a team of editors that would go in and, you know, and edit the book. Are we thinking about the marketability of the book? Are we talking about the structure? I mean, how do we really dig in it and analyze this so that we can understand, you know, what's not needed and what really is needed?
Let's start with the aspect of writing the book itself. AI can help you write much faster. Now, I'm not saying have AI write the book for you, but
Yeah.
I've heard from a lot of authors, established people, that they use AI for ideation.
Yes.
That's really like staring at the blank page is no longer a fear that people need to have. Is AI will help you fill that page really quickly. You can still bring your personality into that writing, but
Right.
you're not going to be stuck for ideas on what to do next. And it's happening right now, not just in commercial writing, but also in journalistic writing. I actually spoke with a professor who comes from an Ivy League college who says AI has speeded up, it's sped up my writing so much that I can now worry about the research aspect and not about the writing aspect of my papers, right? So that's one big thing. And the second thing you talked about is the editorial stuff. Editorials, editing a document has been made much, much, much faster by AI. So X number of editors have now been cut to like X by 10.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
need that kind of editorial muzzle anymore to edit something. And you're able to handle volumes because suddenly everybody wants to have their voice heard. And you're able to handle the volume of people that want to express themselves.
How do we avoid overcompensating? You know, and then I think the other piece to that for consideration is, you know, there's in my mind at least there has to be a change in the perhaps the pricing structure, perhaps the value. Because if anybody can write a book, you know, very quickly, the value of a book, you know, goes down. You know, and how do we avoid, you know, quality? Because if AI is doing the editing and AI is doing the writing, how do we compensate for that? How do we make sure that we're still putting out excellent quality material, you know, at a value that people are willing and able to pay for?
You can still tell AI writing for the most part, unless it becomes very sophisticated. But what you mentioned is the problem that people are already facing. If you go to LinkedIn and you see the posts, you can tell like, oh, this has too many M dashes. Clearly AI wrote it. I deliberately avoid M dashes because I'm like, I used to use those. I'm like, no, I'm not touching
Right.
those anymore. Right. I have short, pithy statements. I'm like, no, this looks like my son kind of reads it over and he goes, did you write it? I'm like, I swear to God, I wrote it. Why are you using short sentences? That's how I speak. Not anymore. So you kind of want to get into that and start talking about authenticity of your voice. And that's what I think it all comes down to is, do you have an authentic and unique voice that people are really desperate to hear? And
Yeah.
yes, people want that authentic content, which is why people like you or the work that you're doing is important because you're getting those authentic voice out. And yeah, in this AI generated slop, the written word died, I think, when email was born. That's what people were saying is email killed the written word. and then
Mm,
autocomplete came in, and now
yeah,
AI has come in. What is the written word even? I can communicate my thought to you in an instant, and it looks half polished. Yeah, AI did it, but I got the thought across. And for most part, that's good enough, right? If it's business communication, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get back to you yesterday. Here's the new pricing structure. Yeah, nobody cares if AI wrote that. But when you're talking about an idea on here, I want to motivate a small business owner and help them understand that they're not done, but they have to reposition themselves in order to face what's coming. That's got to be your authentic voice. That can't be AI generated. And yeah, the problem that you're saying is only going to get worse. And the solution is, keep talking authentically. Like, I don't have all the solutions for what to do. Let's not even talk about AGI yet. Like, we don't know what AGI is going to do.
right.
And they're saying 3 years, 4 years. Different leaders are giving different numbers. But yeah, when that thing comes, I have no idea what. Honestly, I don't know what the world is going to do. But until then, at least we are able to distinguish that. We can tell a genuine human voice. Still, it's getting harder. But and AI has tools that'll help you tell
Yeah,
whether it was written by a human or AI.
I wrote this.
Yeah, I wrote this. Sounds like me.
Here's an interesting question I've been pondering. Do you think that people will be willing at some point to pay to pay a premium for authenticity, like we
I
do with
think they
art?
already are. I mean, that's what's happening in Substack.
Yeah,
Is that authentic voice. People are, I'll pay to hear a human authentic voice. Yeah, yeah, and that's where those books come in. Is where it's authentically written by somebody, by a human being. Sure, they could have used AI tools to do things around the book and
yeah,
illustrations and whatnot, but
sure.
the voice, even illustrations, if it's an artsy type of thing versus like a block diagram. Yeah, AI can do block diagrams, nobody cares. But if it's an artistic kind of an expression, then yeah, you want a human being to do that. And people are willing to pay the premium 100%.
Yeah. It really I used to, be a fan of DeviantArt where we had, like, the artist I loved it, and then everybody came in with the AI generated art, and it was just it was heartbreaking, and
Does
then
it
you see
kill
the
you?
artists that are genuine artists, and, like, you see him just, like it was so sad. It
It
was
is.
so
It is.
sad.
That hurts. Even with movie script writing, for instance, or any kind of show script
Mm,
writing.
yeah,
You can churn out a script in 30 minutes, or you can sit and really get into, what does this person feel? What are they willing to express themselves? And then start to talk about, I'm going to put forth this kind of a human condition or a human conundrum that it's very relatable to other human beings versus I'm just going to say stuff. When you're watching, the kind of shows or whatever, you go, yeah, did my son and I were like, Is AI writing this? Like, did this script just come out of AI?"
yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw a preview yesterday, for a movie that was done or a TV series that's done completely in AI, and I know the artist, I know the creative behind it, and she absolutely created it, but we didn't need an actor suddenly, and we didn't need vocal talent. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she was able to, do everything that needed to be done, herself, in probably half the time, and of course, not nearly the budget.
Can you imagine, Rick, you and me talking? We're just two AIs.
That scares me. It wouldn't be nearly as
Well,
fun though, I promise you that.
it's not going to be because, yeah, that's a sad day indeed. I personally believe that AI should not take over art of any
Yeah,
form.
I
Like,
agree.
leave the music writing, the singing, the acting, the drama to us.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
human
absolutely,
prerogative. You can do my
abs
taxes. Please, please, by all means, do my taxes.
yes, 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 yes. Alright, let's move on to the next step. We're making our businesses defensible. What is our next step?
Well, the next step, I want to spend some time, like the three things in your business that AI genuinely cannot touch. I would say value defensibility is the biggest in that, about 40% ish. How clearly and uniquely valuable is your business? What is it that you do? Like, how clearly do you know the exact problem that you are solving? How well have you understood the problem? And how well have you mapped the solution you're providing to that problem? How unique are you in providing that solution? What is your DNA in that solution that you're providing? That is extremely core. Like, you sit back and think about what is it that Rick is doing with this business that no one else is doing? What is my voice? What is my fingerprint in this business? And understanding that and going, yeah, this is something that's exclusively me and no AI on the planet can touch it, at least not now. The second part of it is customer defensibility. Do my customers really love me? Do they want me? Do they want me because it is me? Or is there other superfluous things like, oh, I have a locational advantage. I'm providing this business half a mile closer than that other person. Or is it like a price advantage? Something that can easily be eroded. Like if you increase your price by say 20, 30, 40, 50%, how many customers are you likely to lose?
Mm,
That's a scary
mm,
thought, right? Like,
it is.
can you imagine? Like, I'm doubling my price and everybody stays with me. I know I'm secure. I raise my price by 10% and half my customers leave. That's not a good place.
Right, right, right.
Right? So asking yourself those hard questions of how hard is it for my customers to leave? And why is it hard for them to leave? What is the real advantage they are seeing when they're staying with me? What is that relationship like? Really ask yourself that. And the third part is operational defensibility, and that is how much of your value lives in documented systems versus just in your head. Can you be replaced as a business owner? Like, the famous question, you get hit by a car, what happens? And if the answer is nothing, everything's good, you're kind of redundant already. Versus there's also a danger, right? Because that hitting and getting hit by a car is a real thing. So you don't want everything to be in your head alone. You want the business to be able to go on even without you. But there's that trade off between you doing the business versus the business going on without you. Where is the trade off? Where do you see the balance happening? These are the three things. So value defensibility, your customer defensibility, and your operational defensibility. Get a good sense of what these things are. I think that is super critical. It goes back to the introspection that I was talking about, where you move everything toward them. Whether is it the physical presence, is it the judgment that you're bringing into it, something that took you years to learn and hone, your taste, your name on the outcome,
Yeah,
you know? The pride that you take in your work.
yeah.
those
I
those are
mean,
the things.
so it's like commodity, but in my mind, it seems like commodity based business is just not gonna be good enough. We can't just have a marketing firm. We can't just have a social media firm. We need to be able to be very specific about the value that we provide.
Exactly.
The scary piece to this is we've got the cost of everything. The cost of everything going up. So minimum wage jumps up to $19 an hour, $24 an hour, whatever it is. But people understand that on the top end of things, our costs are still, what they are. Our costs are higher. We're implementing, AI, but our customer doesn't necessarily want to pay that much, or fewer people are going to be willing to pay to absorb the costs, the additional costs that we incur. So we create this. If we don't do anything, we create this, we fall into this societal problem where we become obsolete, which puts us back
Cost
into
is,
into our defensible situation. But
yeah.
we need real solutions on how to defend ourselves, and continue to survive.
And cost and finance is like the backbone of your business, right?
Yeah,
uh, and AI, people think, $20 a month, I can get it done. No, it's extremely expensive. And the reason is the more like there's two ends to this, right? You don't know the token costs and they really snowball. AI implementation is not cheap. Not right now. It's gotten cheaper. It will get cheaper, but it is not cheap right now. So, when you're walking into something like that, you want to be really mindful of, the cost. The other thing is, let's say there's a bagel bakery and I want to get my breakfast, head in there, I just want a bagel. And suddenly the bagel is up 50%. And the owner says, I'm using AI now for all my back end operations. I fired everybody else. It's just me and one other person in the back. So, I'm passing on the cost of that AI to you. I couldn't care less. I just want a bagel and I want
right,
it at the
exactly,
price that I paid for it yesterday.
exactly. I mean,
So
unless you
no
told
customer
her
wants to pay
bagel or
more.
something.
Yeah, you could tag on AI to your name, and I'm Dilip.ai. So everything about me is now expensive. No, nobody cares. And they're like, what
Right,
do I get from you? And if that has become more expensive, then I'm going some.
right, right,
And then
right.
and then I do want to get into a tangent, and you can stop me and guide me back. But I had a couple people approach business owners recently, and they said, I want to automate my business. Can you help? And I said, what's your objective? What's your goal? And they said, I want to reduce the number of employees that are working for me. I said, that's a wrong goal. That's not how you start. That's not
Have to
how a
start.
company should start. You need to make them more productive. You can make them produce three times more than they are producing. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Don't lay off people.
Yeah.
because you're not even understood what they're bringing to your company yet, right? And if your goal with implementing AI is I just want to reduce my workforce, then you're starting wrong. It's only going to go down from that point.
Yeah. You're talking about now you're talking about a human problem. You're talking about a survival problem. It's not even necessarily, hey, I want to make a ton more money. It's like, hey, I'm trying to survive, by, lowering my costs. I mean, that in and of itself, again, it's driving into that fear conversation. We've got to be able to overcome that. We've got to be able to survive as a society, with AI, because AI is not going anywhere. AI will get more involved. It's funny because I was in the restaurant industry for like 17 years, and I've seen the restaurants where they've got, the robot cooks and that sort of thing. And it's just like, okay, what are we, as you said before, what is it that we're really selling now? You know what I mean? It's
I don't know. I'll go for a robot cook. I guess it'll be okay. Taste wise.
America is slow to adopt, from what I understand. I
I
understand that
have
there's robot waiters. As a matter of fact, I was approached by a Chinese company a number of years ago. And they're like, Rick, we want you to sell robot waiters. This is before AI, so I don't know what they're doing now, but
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, those things I don't know how I'll deal with it when a machine brings it. I mean, it'll be polite and everything, but it's a machine cooked it, a machine brought it. I'll just tell you a little story. I was at one of the coffee places recently, and the barista was just, there's somebody taking the order, and there was a young lady, and she was like, "Hey, how are you? How's it going? What can I do for you? What can I get you?" And then I said, "I am doing well, thank you. And how is your day going?" She pauses for a minute. She looks up at me and she goes, "No one has ever asked me that all day, right? No one has asked me how my day is going. They just come in, they go, 'Hey, I want this cafe latte, whatever,' and then they move on. No one paused and asked me how my day is going." She was like, "Thank you for asking." And she told me how her day is going. She's a working mom. This is her third job, and she's got two kids. She's a single mom, and she just graduated, did an online degree, and it was just that human connection, right? And I just stood there going, "Wow, I did not know this," right? And there are times when, if the line is short, I actually stand in line at the grocery store so I can talk to a human.
yeah, yeah.
America, unfortunately, we have designed our country for increasing loneliness. So you can go about your business day after day after day without talking to a single human being. And we need AI to step back from those human interactions, because that's our prerogative. We need that. I need to talk to a human being. I need to know how their day is going. Doesn't matter who they are. I need them to ask me how I'm doing and to look me in the eye and thank me, right? So I think that's a very, very valuable point.
You were at, and my hope is the little kid. It's like, you get, your child a toy, and like that toy is what they've wanted, and they play with it and play with it and play with it, and then they get tired of it, and then they go back to, going outside with their friends, or whatever that is. And that's kind of that's what I'm hoping happens with AI. What I'm hoping with, these, our interpersonal connections and communications. It's like AI can enable that, so we can have this particular conversation, but it's the two of us here, and our audience, and we're having a human conversation. And I hope that we realize that this is what we need. These interactions is what we need, to be able to laugh. We need to be able to look at each other's body language and say, Dilip is bored with my conversation.
I am not.
He's pontificating again. Oh my gosh.
Was
All
that
right.
an eye roll? Did I detect an eye?
Exactly. That
Yeah,
never
no,
happens.
100%, right? And that brings us back to letting AI do the things that we want it to do. Like, I want it to improve my sound quality. I want it to improve the visual quality. I want it to help me market it. I want more people to know that, hey, there's this podcast going on where we are having human conversations. Those things are fine. But the talking, the interaction, the looking at each other, yeah, that's all us. And
Yep.
that's got to remain that way.
It does.
It's
It
so
does.
funny because Claude, I was working with it recently, and it's late in the night, and he was messing up, and I was like, "This is the second time you messed up. I'm not happy about it." And he goes, "I'm really sorry. Here's a new, whatever thing that you wanted." And I go, "Wait a minute, you're not sorry. You can't feel. And it goes, yeah, you're right. I can't feel. Anyway, here, take this.
It's hard though, right? You know, and it's like you know you're sitting here and you're doing the work and it's giving you information it's not accurate or not what you're asking for. You get frustrated with it, and then you start to and you have to question its integrity. You know, it's just like if I can't depend on you to do to give me this data accurately, what can I depend on you for?
See, and
You know?
that's the word, right? You said integrity. It has no integrity.
Yeah, yeah,
Just everything it surfaces with an air of authority. And then when you push back, you go, yeah, I made that up. I'm
yeah,
like, really?
yeah.
This
Exactly.
is my business we're talking about. I built a business intelligence agent, and you're giving me made up stuff. Like my business decisions depend on this information. Right? If I want to know the market sentiment, I want to know the exact market sentiment. I don't want you making stuff up going, everybody loves you. Your product's going to be a huge hit.
Gosh, Claude is the worst for that. You know, you have 6 fingers. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I don't have
that's
6 fingers, Claude.
amazing.
Why
Here,
are you
work with me.
telling that?
I'll give you 10
Wow,
on
you
each
only
hand.
have 5. Amazing. Like, oh my gosh. This is not good. All right, let's get back on track. Okay, so what is our next step here?
Yeah. So after that, after you understand your three things, you come back to adopting AI deliberately, or it will be passively entering your work stream and your business. So you want to adopt and adapt to AI deliberately.
Yeah,
What that means is you start to exactly what we talked about. Like if it's a podcast or a book publishing business, what are the things that you want AI to be doing? What is the grunt work that you don't want to be doing, or
yeah,
where you don't have enough scale or reach or cost savings? AI adoption is expensive, but AI also reduces costs. For example, AI can do processing so much more faster.
yes,
And you understand, this is where you also understand what your competition is doing. For example, if you're a law firm and somebody sends you over a contract and says, can you peruse this contract and then tell me what are the red flags here? A typical lawyer might say, hey, it's going to take me 3 days, and then I'll charge you $1,000 for it, or $2,000. And then there's a corner office with one person in a garage that says, I'll do it for you in a half hour. Give me $100, and you can do like a consultation with me for another $200.
yeah,
Done deal. You'll get the whole thing done, and it may not be the same quality, but for a lot of business owners, it's good enough. And that's the operative thing is AI is it's taking over mediocrity. It is automating the average.
yes, yes.
So it will remove the average within you. And when you adopt, AI deliberately, you start to understand what part of you can be automated. And the last rule is treating this as an
Real quick
orientation.
on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Please.
point,
Sorry, I jumped.
I think the immediate the fear of mediocrity is extraordinarily important. I think in term along with adaptation, I mean, we have to understand its limitations. We have to understand. I don't know. I don't want to use a term where I'll use this phrase, just as a plug-in, where we don't need excellence, consistent excellence, or we have to look at those areas, you know what I'm saying, where we understand that AI sometimes is going to take a shortcut, or AI is going to, I like I hear companies talking about like the human aided AI. I forget the exact phrase that's used, but that has to, my thinking is that has to be part of our part of our process when we, generate show notes, from an episode. It's not just generate show notes and put them up there. It's like we generate the show notes from the transcript, but then we go through and we look at the show notes. Does this make sense? Is this true? Oh my gosh, did it come up with something from somebody else's podcast? I mean, it has to be accurate because we owe that to our audience. We owe that to our guests. We want to make sure the information is accurate and interesting. And AI is not really interested in that sometimes.
No, AI doesn't care. It doesn't
I
have
should say
feelings,
doesn't care
right?
at all,
It doesn't care
and
at
it's
all.
just
It
going to
doesn't have
move
feelings.
on.
Yeah.
Probably have jokes with the other tools, like, "Guess what I got away with?"
Yeah, exactly. Can you believe this person? Yeah. That's absolutely true, right? Where is excellence required in your business, and where it is just a nice to have. Like business communication, there's the routine standardized communication, And then there's business communication with a purpose, like I want to acquire a customer. I am placating an angry customer, or I'm dealing with a customer issue that has to be solved.
Yeah.
Those, don't give that over to AI. But your routine, like, hey, it takes an invoice, it feeds everything inside the system, it generates copies, it feeds it into your, books. Yeah, let AI do all of that, knock itself out. Right. So that the diligence of thought in what parts of your business can be automated and what are the mediocre parts of yourself and your business that can be automated by AI, understand that and see if you can automate that. Operate outside of that. Like I said at the beginning, AI is going to force you to become a better version of yourself. And it's better that you do it willingly than unwillingly.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
AI force you into the corner. Rather, you anticipate that here's where it's coming and here's how I need to up my game. Yeah, there's a lot of mediocrity on the planet. And yeah, so that mediocrity is in danger.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Treat this as an orientation is one of the things I was saying, is like a plan that you made last year is outdated today. Plan you're making now in the month of May will be outdated by end of the year. So make it a habit. Know where you stand, checking, adjusting, staying in the right direction as technology keeps moving. The businesses that are going to be surviving are not the ones that have had the best plan. They are
Yeah.
the ones with the most awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are the business that are going to be surviving.
Interesting. What I'm thinking about is, just and I think you've had experience with this is, you've got your regular business operations, you've got your finance, your business development activities and that sort of thing. And then you have your core product, whatever it is that you're offering that, as you said, is that defensible, that unique part of your organization. And it'll be interesting to see how businesses on a smaller businesses on a large scale evolve, because we're going back to a cottage industry, if you will, where everybody, most people can create a business, and the more important conversation is how are you going to actually connect with your customers? How are you going to express what's unique about you and the way that you work and your offering to the people that would be interested, willing, and able to purchase from you?
And that's a very, very key thing that you just said. I want to dig down a little bit into different aspects of that. Everybody can start a business, but not everybody can be successful in a business. A startup is not for the faint of heart. Never was, never will be. And people that think like, oh, I got laid off, I can now become a consultant and do the exact same thing, need to pause and think about, my company, my enormous company could not protect me from AI taking my job over. How am I going to protect myself? By doing the same thing now that I'm exposed to the world. And um, every time I hear so many people, right, telling me, started, I got to tell you, just in my own circle, I've had a person that started their own market analysis tool for investment. I had, sorry, two people did that. One person started a restaurant that went under in 6 months, so he has pivoted to a catering business. I know one person who's doing things with animal shelters. That was not her job. She was in technology. It's unending, the things that people have started to do, and some of them are like, this has been a passion. This is what I always wanted to do, and I'm doing it. And others are, I've been forced into a corner. This is the thing that I think, I asked ChatGPT and it said do this, and I'm doing this. Yeah, the AI makes it tricky because it makes it look like everyone can start a business. Sure, it can draft a business plan, it can do a PRD, it can do your financial outlook, it can do everything, all those things. It can draft a marketing plan, your product plan, the things that would take you days, if not weeks, to really do it. But it cannot get you customers. It can't make money for you. You got to do that yourself. The authentic voice we told you about, it can help you identify problems that people are facing, but it cannot bring out what's unique within you. That you have to do that yourself, and that's the tricky part. That's the illusion that a lot of people don't really see. Is that hey, I can do this, and you hear stories, right? Like, oh, this guy started a business, solo business, 6 months. He sold his business for $80 million. Now he's off on an island in the Bahamas. Yeah, no, that's not reality. Even if it happened to one person, it happened to one person. That's probably why it's a story, if it is true, right? Most businesses, you and I know that is every day is a struggle. Every single day is a struggle, and that's why, like, small business, my heart goes out. Is I've been a small business owner 15 years now. My wife and I run a preschool. Well, she's taking care of it mostly, but we put in every last cent of saving we had. in that business. And now I'm doing this one. I quit my corporate job and I'm doing this one, the defensible zone stuff. And I know, you know, how hard it is. But yeah, people that go like, I can do this. Yeah, please do your homework. Please do your homework. Know what you're getting into.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's so well said. That's so well said. And I've got a question that I ask all of my guests at the end of the show. The name of the show is called "The Relentless Pursuit of Winning." And as people, I mean, we can typically identify, what winning looks like in whatever category. The hard part that we have is maintaining that relentless pursuit. So my question for you is, what would you recommend to someone in order to help them maintain that relentless pursuit?
I love the word relentless pursuit because you're saying winning is not a destination, it's a process. People need to understand that. And just because you won yesterday doesn't mean you'll win today or win tomorrow. What got you here won't get you there, right? So to understand what that winning means as the goalposts keep getting moved is the first point that people have to keep in mind. The relentless part is, it's about, I think it has moved from execution to knowledge management. Execution is something that AI is incredibly good at doing. Knowledge management is something you need to be really good at. And that comes back to the introspection, the understanding of competitive edge, your what really is your moat. Do you even have one? And be relentless in that, and pursue that like diligently, because I believe you have one life, right? So this is, you're put on this planet to do something, and do something and do that thing. Don't let AI get in the way. Use it as a tool, but be very careful because it's unlike anything you've used before. And you will win. I want to end this on a positive note. This is, it's not doom and gloom. And don't go by the media narrative that we're all finished. It's going to be a dystopian society where we're just scrambling for, it's Hunger Games all over. No, it's not. I think we have to take charge of crafting a path for ourselves, and let it bring out the best in us, because that's where it's pushing us. Let's push ourselves to that. Let's identify the mediocre and the average within us, and then rise above. And I think that's the core of relentless pursuit of winning.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. We've got to work with it, not work around it, not be afraid of it. It's
Not be
it's
afraid
it's
of it.
interesting because by nature I'm an ops guy. I'm a strategist. And so I'm looking at the worst case scenario, but I'm driving for that win. It's like, how do we work around these potential issues? So that we can continue to win, so we can continue to strive forward. I think that a lot of times I may come across as just like, oh, it's gloom and doom, but I'm hedging. I'm hedging my risk, and I think that that's along with what you said. I think that that's the approach that we need to take. We need to understand what's happening, what the changes are, and then adapt to them.
100%, Rick. And I think you hit the nail on the wall. It is like you're balancing, right? On the one hand, you don't want it to be all gloom and doom and fear. On the other hand, you're not falsely optimistic. Oh, nothing's going to happen. Everything's going to be amazing. Changes are coming. They're already here. And they will be more pronounced as AI keeps getting smarter and more powerful. So understand that. Understand that the world as we know it is going to change. The way we made decisions change. What we thought would see us through to the end of our work lives is not going to be there. But we are, you said that in the beginning, Americans, we're really good at adapting. Not just Americans. I want to say humanity is good at, adaptation. That's how we have survived everything, right? And I'm confident we and the next generation will pull it through. But you just have to be more mindful of how you're doing it, because AI is something that we've never seen before. It's just a new type of thing to deal with. And yeah, so
So you said before our call, you said you had a free offer for our audience. Do
yeah,
you want to talk about that?
so yeah, thank you. So if you go to defensiblezone.ai, that's defensiblezone one word .ai, you'll go to the For Companies page, and I'll give you a free 30-minute consultation about your business. You can just sign up some time, and I'll talk you through. I have an assessment. Take that assessment. Think of it as a report that you need to have before you have a doctor conversation. But first off, let's have that consultation just so I understand where your business is, what problems you're trying to solve, and then we can talk about what AI means in your business world, and then we can go from there. So yeah, 30-minute free consultation, just defensiblezone.ai.
Is there any qualifications, any types of situations or scenarios that you're particularly wanting to help folks address?
Your business must be 100 people or less. The reason is once business goes beyond, you have C-level executives, you have whole another the AI implementation is going to be very different. So I'm tailoring for the 100 people or less type of business. Qualification, not necessarily even solopreneurs are most welcome, any type of business, because what we're going to be talking about is not at a tools level. Sure, I can recommend tools, but you can find out what tools to use yourself. That's not where we are going. What we're going to do is talk about the 5 principles that I spoke about in this show and how to get to that. Just introspection alone. How do you understand your value? I'll help you unpack those 5 things.
Excellent. So it's at defensiblezone.ai. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, fantastic, Dilip. This has been a fantastic conversation. We went way too long, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure speaking with you, Rick. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
My great pleasure. And folks, thank you so much for watching or listening to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. We'll catch you next time.